This is Alex with Carolina Terrain. We are a Waxhaw, North Carolina based property drainage company. Here at my client Rebecca's house, and she is having some standing water issues in the rear of her property. So I'm going to kind of show an overview of our consultation process and how we diagnose issues and provide solutions for our clients based on their budget. It's a beautiful backyard, but Rebecca's having some issues with some standing water here. This low point, I can just visually see there's a very, very gradual slope from the back property down to this low point of the yard, and water, based on her photos, has been standing in this area up until about here. So we discussed her budget is under $3,000, so we want to offer some budget-friendly options. So for addressing standing water on a budget, one of the methods we use is called vertical mulching. So basically that's going to be a system of holes about 2 feet deep and 9 inches wide, backfilled with drainage aggregate. So these will be systematically drilled through these areas and backfilled, like I said, with drainage aggregate. While we're here, we'll have the machine, so we'll be able to also create a gentle swell here that will be able to direct the standing water as well to her existing basin here. So we're going to upsize this from this small grate to a 12-inch basin. It's going to allow her to handle about 80 gallons per minute versus this small basin here. Once we are done, we'll also install some new fescue seed and wheat straw. And while I'm here, I'm always looking for other potential things that the client may need. So I was suggesting that we could do some general bed cleanup, like in these beds, to remove the grass and install some new mulch. So anytime we're taking any kind of anytime we're doing any consultations, we always take in-depth measurements. So I got this Lufkin measuring wheel. We use a measuring tape. I have a compaction rod here by Agritronics. Allows me to see the level of soil compaction. And then I also use this measure device here. So this is a movement-based measuring tool. I'm able to get the square footage of this area, which I will use to calculate how much water volume that this area is getting, which will allow me to determine exactly how many holes and what size holes need to be. So we take the guesswork out of all of this. So we're basing this on science, essentially, to tell us exactly the amount of water volume capacity that we need based on the volume from this area. So once I get this information, I am able to create a report as well as a quote, and then I'm able to present this information to the client, so we'll be able to keep this under her budget and resolve these issues for her. Whenever I'm on site, I'm also looking for any risks, like the utilities here, so we'll have those marked, plus accessibility. So it looks like over here, she's got a small gate. We need something that's at least 5 foot wide to access the backyard. So she does not have a wide enough gate. So basically, for us to access this backyard, we would have to get approval from the client to take down one of her panels. Otherwise, we would have to do this by hand, which would increase the cost pretty significantly. So, in order to access this backyard, we'll need to remove this panel to get our machines back here. And then either we can paint this or she can paint this herself, because we may need to get a new panel. It's 93 inches long. And a 43-inch tall panel. So this will be removed. You can get in through the yard through here. We'll have plywood to protect her other grass. And what that'll allow us to do also is use the machine to disperse the mulch, greatly reducing the amount of time this takes. So I'm going to get some measurements. I can show what it looks like on my screen. I won't be able to record the process since I don't have a secondary phone. And then I can share the results and what this project costs. Okay, I'm still here at Rebecca's house. So I used the measure to get the area of the entire lawn where the runoff is occurring, and then the area that we will be grading and seeding and doing the vertical mulching. So I'll be able to calculate, like I said before, how many holes I'll need and the size of the holes. So now I'm going to get some measurements for her mulch, basically so we can get an accurate amount of mulch that she'll need. So this will be for the backyard. This bed is 26 feet long with a width of 7 feet. So you can use the measure for these beds. It's just quicker for me to use the wheel because mulch, you can have a higher margin of error, but if you want a really exact measurement, you could use a measure on every bed. We also use Google Earth so we can get some basic measurements. This is an area like right here where I'd probably recommend some like river rock or something, but she's probably just going to want to keep it simple with some mulch. So this little bed here, 7.5 feet by 29 inches. We do offer pressure washing, so I'll give her some optional pressure washing estimates. For example, this area is 12 feet by 12 feet. Just got another bed here. So if you don't have a measure, what you can do is just take the linear footage and then just take multiple width measurements, and you can round up as well. So this bed, I'm going to get a couple measurements. So the width is 3.5. Also, I'll note that any kind of downspout systems like this, as well as the new system we're going to adapt, or the new catch basin we're going to adapt into our existing system, we do have the ability to camera inspect these with a sewer camera, and then we have a jetter system that we can blast out all the pipes. That service starts at $550 for 2 hours, and we can diagnose most issues, and we do provide an estimate for any repairs with that. So this bed is also 6 feet. And then we'll get one more of this small sliver. These small areas, I like to use the measuring tape because it's more accurate. And the wheel says 26 inches. You know, using the measure through here would be hard because you have to get back behind things. So that's why, another reason why I like the quickness of the wheel. So I'll do this in sections and make it slightly more accurate. So here it's 65.5 feet. I'm gonna get 3 widths. And there's pine straw back here, so we may use pine straw. So that's 15 feet. She was mentioning pine straw, so that'll keep the cost down a lot. And if she wants pine straw on these beds, we can do that as well. So maybe we'll just give her a pine straw option. It's 18 feet. And when I see things like this, like these pine cones, we will remove those and any kind of weeds just to give the bed a clean feel. And then we also do soil cut edging. So we'll edge the bed lines. That will increase the labor time. So basically how we do our quotes is just time and materials. It's 12 feet. For areas like this, circle, you're gonna get the diameter or the radius. So it's a 5-foot radius, 10-foot diameter. Squares, you get length times width. Same with rectangles. Triangle areas, it's just 1/2 base times height. So that's 10-foot diameter. It might be worth, for maintenance purposes, to basically combine these areas. So we could cut out this and just make this one area. So I'm going to measure 8, 5, 10. I'm going to get this back bed line. This beautiful loropetalums. It's perfect time of the year to be out. Got the nandinas back here. So as a licensed contractor, it is good to know, to start to be able to identify plants. And you can use an app called Picture This. You pay for the subscription. It's like, I think $30 a year, or a little bit less. And I can quickly take a picture of something like this and be able to identify, oh, this is a loropetalum. So that's about 46 feet. I'll have to ask how much she wants to clean up back under here, but if I were her, I would trim up all these little suckers, or we could dig them up actually, because these are all baby loropetalums. I'll have the guys dig those up and take those, and we could replant them. So it's 20 feet. All these beds with the leaves, we'll remove all the leaves before putting the mulch down. That is 20 feet. So what I'm doing is just getting the square footage, and I get the average of the depth, and then I'm able to calculate the number of bales. So like I said, we take all the guesswork out with as accurate measurements as we can do. And that way we can maximize our revenue and keep the price down as low as possible for the clients, because we're not buying extra materials we don't need. So it's 76 feet. Since I know the bed width starts about here, we got this tulip poplar, or actually tulip magnolia, excuse me. Just going to these giant hollies. It says 20 feet. stump we could take out for her, and 12 feet. Same thing for these beds. I'd probably combine them into one. Just keep the maintenance down. So 18-foot radius. So this is an oval, so you want the length times the width of the oval. So that's 12 feet wide. And that's how you're able to, and then you can just use online calculators to do your formulas. But it's good to memorize your formulas. It's 4.5 feet radius. So that way you can do these things in your head on the fly, or at least with a simple calculator. This is another oval. It says 12.5 by 9. And always look at the crepe myrtles, because these guys are, and at least in our area, really prone to scaly bugs. And you can kind of see this darkening of the bark here is a indicator of that pest. So this needs to be treated with some insecticidal soap to address those. So just doing one last look. Once I'm done measuring the mulch, I will show how the compaction rod works. So that's the backyard measurements. Now we're going to get the front yard measurements. And then noting all the downspouts. So I know there's 2 over there. There's 1 right here. They're all 3 inchers. Another one right here. Got the abelia. So this corner, it is 35 feet by 7 feet. This front right bed. And she does have landscape lighting, so we can offer to run her landscape lighting. Also saw her irrigation, so we can give her an option to run her irrigation. And then when we're doing the landscape lighting, we can bury all these. So it's 22 by 14. It's under irrigation. And then, so this bed right here doesn't have a pipe on it, so I'd recommend at least a splash block to kick it away, or some river rock to basically create a little swell to drain the water down through here. Beautiful camellias. You can tell the difference between the Camellia sasanqua and the japonica, because sasanqua had the small leaves, S for small, and japonicas have the larger leaves. So that was 47 feet by, I'm gonna get 2 measurements. And this is mulch in the front. It says 12 feet. Looks like Yopon hollies right here by 8 feet. We've got tree ring, 7-foot diameter. And we got another oval or rectangle. Either way, you're getting the length times the width. 16.5 by 9. She does have Bermuda growing amongst her fescue, so this could be treated if she's interested, but it looks like she uses a natural lawn care service already. this is 14 by 12 or 11. So we also offer pressure washing, so we'll give her, I'll use Google Earth to get the measurement of her house, as well as the driveway. Looks like this bed is in her neighbor's property. And then we've got this small bed right here. This is 14 by, it's mulch through here, by 13. And then we could pressure wash all this wood off her fence. So seems like it's a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it because we're taking the guesswork out and can maximize the revenue while keeping the costs as low as possible for the client. So this compaction rod uses this steel tip. Basically, the premises of this is we're seeing what the depth is once it reaches 200 psi. So I'm going to just probe where each of these flags are. So we're getting about 9 inches, 200 psi. Here we're getting about 1 inch, 200 psi, so you can kind of see why the soil or why the water is not draining through the soil. Tip depth 200 psi. So what the vertical mulching is going to do is just open up the soil. So it's basically 3 inches, 200 psi, and allow that water, air, and nutrients to get down into this clay that we have in North Carolina. About 3 inches, 200 psi. It's about 5 inches, 200 psi. So she has poor compacted soil. I would say extremely poor is like every single reading is tip depth. And I'll just get a couple over here. See much better. So we're getting about 9 inches. Each one of these ticks on here is 3 inches. So it's about 5 inch, 200 psi. So she could use some core aeration, so we can give her an optional quote to do some core aeration back here. And then we'll have extra seed so she can do some overseeding. It's about 2 inches. So the core aeration will help with the general water percolation, nutrients, air in these large surface area, and then this will be the collection point with the larger holes. All right, so that's about it. So again, this is Alex with Carolina Terrain, Waxhaw based landscaper specializing in property drainage. I'm gonna get her an estimate, so I'll give you guys an overview of how we structure our quotes using Jobber. So any of the products that we'll use, I'll have a link in the description of where you can purchase these. And something else you might want to do while I'm here is a soil test. So it is $150 for a soil test, so I'll go ahead and see if that's something she wants to do. And I can include all these optional line items. And what's good about that is it gives the client the opportunity to select those that they want, but it's not reflected in the actual quote unless they add that in. So yeah. Also, one thing I forgot to mention regarding the Mosier is you always want to have a starting point. So I noted that this was the starting point. If you don't have a designated starting point like a corner, you can always use a flag or white paint. And but other than that, that's basically the overview of our consultation process and how we take basic measurements. We do a lot more complex measurements when we are installing drainage systems. Typically, we'll put a bunch of white paint on the ground, use drones to shoot the area, get a known distance, and then we're able to design a drainage 2D design. And we also do 3D designs as well for hardscaping and modeling, landscaping. So it's we offer a large amount of services, so you can check us out on carolinaterrain.com for more information. Thanks and have a great day.